If you notice that none of the scenery has changed and I have on the same outfit and the same lip gloss, it's because I'm just recording these things back to back. But welcome to episode, I don't know, 2 or 3, where I'm going to talk about skate sizing, which is probably the second most asked question I hear or get after what skate should I get, right? Once you figure out what skates you get, then you want to know what size skate to get. This is a little complicated. And a lot of people hate giving this advice because if I tell you what size I would get, our feet are shaped differently. We like our shoes, skates to fit differently. It's to a certain extent a matter of personal preference. So it's hard to do this, but it gets asked a lot, and I just want to try to help people. So, like everything else I say, take it with a grain of salt. That's all I can say about that. But I'm going to try to address some sizing questions. So here's where the confusion comes into place. One, I think a lot of people wear their shoes too big, which is fine for shoes because you're just walking in them and you walk every day of your life. Your body was designed to do that. Skates really need to fit snugly. You don't want to have room in your skate for your foot to slide back and forth, even a little bit, really, to be honest. People think, oh, rather have them too big than too small, which is probably true. But if they're too big and you start having to wear multiple pairs of socks or you want to start adding insoles, you're just not going to get the responsiveness out of the skate that you want. I don't know how to explain that really clearly, but if you have any room in your skate and you're turning, you're going to have some lag because your foot has to turn and then it'll hit your skate and then it'll hit your plate and then it'll hit your wheels. Um, and it just makes learning things very hard, especially if you're new. It makes learning things very hard if your boot is too big. Again, you don't want them to be too small because then you're just going to be uncomfortable and you're not going to want to skate. But your skates should not fit like sneakers. Like, they're not necessarily supposed to be comfortable. They're supposed to be functional. So when you are trying on a skate, if you can try on a skate, or once you get the skates you've ordered online, your longest toe, typically your big toe, but your longest toe should brush up against the front of your skate. That's probably not the case for your shoes or like sneakers, right? And that may be uncomfortable. But as long as your toes aren't like cramped, like where they bend and are forced up, they're probably okay, and you're just going to have to take some time to break in, or you're going to have to find a different skate brand that fits your foot better. But you don't want to have you want to be able to wiggle your toes, but you don't want to have like a whole lot of room for your foot to be sliding around. That's not good for skating either. All right, now that I got my personal pet peeve about people wearing too big skates out, I'll give my advice. With that being said, you can obviously tell I like for my skates to fit quite snug. I like to wear a relatively thin athletic sock with my skates. Some people like skate barefoot, some people like really thick socks, so you do have to take that into consideration. And like I said, I like for my skate to fit snug. It just is a better fit for me. I had a pair of too large skates, and as much as I loved them and wanted them to work, they were terrible to skate in. All right, so another reason why there's a problem knowing what size skates to wear is that some skates are sized in women's sizes. Some brands are sized in men's sizes, and then some European brands are based on your Euro size, which honestly, if you're not willing to measure your foot, is probably the best way to determine what size skate to buy. That being said, the number one best way to determine what size skate you wear is to measure your foot. Almost every skate shop, almost every skate brand has a little tutorial where they tell you how to do this. You want to stand up against a wall that doesn't have like molding and stuff on it. Maybe you have to do it a door. Put a sheet of paper down. Hopefully you can have somebody else do it to draw a line your longest toe. So a line for your heel, a line for your toe, or just outline your whole foot if you can. And measure from the longest distance to see what the length of your foot is, preferably in millimeters because they're more accurate. If you have someone else to do this for you, that's better, because when you start leaning forward and bending down to trace or line up your foot, usually your foot spreads, or like you take the weight off of it or whatever, and you can come up with some wonky off numbers. So if there's anybody who can help you do that, that's better. Obviously, if this is you, do the best you can. Another way to get around this is if you have a pair of shoes that fit you really well, and I do mean well, I'm not talking about them two big sneakers I was ranting about in the beginning. Take the insole out and measure the insole of that shoe. Like if you have a pair, I don't know, Vans or Converse or something, you can easily take the insole out of. Again, snug shoes, not too big shoes. A lot of people don't want to do that. They don't trust their measuring. They have to measure themselves, whatever the case may be. A lot of people just want to know, hey, I wear a size 8. What size skate should I get? I get it. All right. So let's see. Chaya's, I have to use my cheat sheet. Chaya's, Jackson's, most Jackson's, not all. Impalas and Candy Girls all come in women's sizes. So again, that's Chaya's, Jackson, like the Vistas, and most of the ones that aren't black, but all of the Vistas, even the black ones. The red, white, and blue ones, and the holographic Jacksons, all of those are women's sizes. Impalas and Candy Girls are all going to be in women's sizes. So you're going to want to order the size shoe you wear if you're a woman. If you're a man, you're probably going to want to size up a size. So if you're a woman and you wear, I wear a 10. If you're a woman and you wear a 10, get a 10 in those brands. If you're a guy and you wear a 10, get an 11 in those brands. Next up is Rydell, who makes Moxi, so by default, Moxi. And the men's Jacksons that say men's that come in black. Those all come in men's sizes. For those, I would advise you to size down one size. So if you wear comfortably, not too big shoes, if you wear comfortably a size 10 shoe like I do, I would probably buy all of those skates in a 9. The only disclaimer I will say about that is if you have a really slender or narrow foot, then in Riedell or Moxi, you might want to go down 2 sizes. Or if you're a half size, you might want to go down 1.5 sizes if you have a narrow foot. I have put on a size 8 Moxi and I felt like I was going to die. Again, I have a wide foot and they're narrow. I wear a 10. I was trying on an 8. And I think they would probably break in just fine, but they were tight on first putting them on. Not lengthwise, widthwise. But because they were so tight, widthwise, I felt like I was going to need a 9, going against my own advice. So when I tried on a 9 Moxi later, though it fit more comfortably because my foot was a little bit further back and not, like a pointed heel. They weren't as far forward in the shoe. They felt more comfortable. I knew over time as that suede stretched out and conformed to my foot that they were going to be too big and my foot was going to be sliding around. So you might, even in a Moxi or a Riedell, want to go down 2 sizes if they're the suede ones. Again, all of this is really iffy, but that's a good starting place. 1 to 1.5 sizes down. So then we have Sure Grips, which I personally feel run large. I wear a 10. My Sure Grip Fames are 8. If I bought Boardwalks, I would also buy an 8. The Boardwalks are a little bit more narrow and less padded than the Fames in my opinion, so the 8s aren't comfortable off the bat, but as a suede boot, they are going to eventually conform to your foot. And I do feel they're a little wider than the Moxi Lollies or the tan Riedell Zones. Probably the same as the black Riedell Zones. I haven't tried those on. I think they should be about the same. In those, I would advise going 1.5 or 2 sizes down because, again, I'm a 10 and I wear 8. A friend of mine is 11. I talked her into getting 9s after she bought the 10s and they were too big and she had to then get 9s. Even in the smaller sizes, my 6 friends have them in 4s. Like, trust me, just go down 2 sizes in Sure Grip. Last up is Moonlight Moon Boots. And while I love them, they're a little tricky to size. I feel like something interesting happens in the middle of their sizing. They also don't have a millimeter size chart where you can check your measurements. So this is one where you do sort of have to go on what your shoe size is. I wear a 10. My moon boots are 8. They fit perfectly. I suggest for anyone who's a size 9 or bigger to go down 2 sizes. So like if you're a 9, get a 7. If you're a 10, get an 8, etc. I even met a girl at the sale who had size 13 feet. The 11s fit her great. So larger sizes, I say go down 2 sizes or 1.5 sizes if you're half size. For the 8 and below, I say go down 1 size. So if you're 8, get a 7. If you're a 7, get a 6, etc., etc. The people that I know with smaller feet, I have a couple of friends who wear a 7 shoe. They are both comfortable with their size 6 moon boots. So that one's a little tricky. Moonlight tells you to go down 1 or 1.5 sizes. I think if you have a larger foot, you should go down 1.5 to 2 sizes. If you wear 8 or below, I say go down 1 to 1.5 sizes. A 9 or above, go down 1.5 or 2 sizes. Personal opinion. So yeah, those are all the brands that I've tried on. Oh, Lunas are another brand where I would say is a woman size and get your actual shoe size. Roll ATL in Atlanta is the only skate shop in the US that sells Lunas.